In this video, we're going to work on our implementation of the merge function. Before we start writing any code here, let's make sure that we start up our tests inside of our sort directory again. So I'll say jest sorting test.js -- watch. And I'll just assume those are going to start up correctly. All right. So back over here, we're going to work on our merge function. We just went over the algorithm that we're going to use inside this thing in the last video. We're going to put this together, and then we'll start talking about the purpose of MergeSort. I'm going to be flipping back and forth to my browser a little bit so that we can take a look at some of the pseudocode here. I apologize, I know that's always distracting, but I do want to point back to this diagram a little bit. The first thing that we need to do is to create an empty array that we're going to call results. So this is going to be what is going to hold our final sorted values. Back in my code editor, I'll find the merge function, and we're going to create our results function, like so. Next, we're going to write our while loop. Our while loop is going to run so long as there are any elements left in both left and right. So we'll place a while loop, and to make sure this thing runs so long as there's anything left in both of these, we can do left.length and right.length. Now, as soon as one of these arrays goes to length of 0, then it's going to fail this Boolean and check right here, and we'll exit the while loop. Then inside the while loop itself, we need to do a comparison between the first element in both of the arrays. So the very first element. This is going to be pretty straightforward. We'll do an if statement, and we'll look at the first left value, so the value at index 0, and then we'll look at the right at index 0. So if the value on the left-hand side is less than the one on the right, that means that we want to take this first value out of left and add it to our results array. So we can say results.push, and then we will shift the first value out of the left array, left.shift. That will take the first element out, it's going to forcibly remove it from that array, and it's going to add it to results. This handles the case in which the first element on the left-hand side is greater than the one on the right-hand side. We need to also add the case in which the opposite is true, so the case in which the right-hand side is less than left. We don't have to write a separate if statement for this one. We can just do an else, because essentially either this is going to be less or right is going to be less, one or the other. There's only two cases here. Inside the else case, we'll add on results.push right.shift, like so. Now that's pretty much it for the while loop. We are going to shift elements out of either left or right until one of these two arrays is empty. And as soon as it is empty, then we're going to fail this Boolean check right here, and the while loop will fail to run. Before we just return the results array down here at the bottom, we need to remember the case in which left or right might still have a value left inside of it. So we need to make sure that we empty out both those arrays into results. In other words, we want to take everything out of left and right at the very bottom here and make sure it gets appended on to the end of results. And we just saw that a moment ago when we looked at the case where we had emptied out the 22, remember from the left-hand side, we put 22 into our results array. We were no longer satisfying the requirement of our while statement, and so we needed to make sure that we emptied out the right-hand side and threw everything inside of it into results. To do so, we're going to use a little bit of ES 2015 syntax. So at first glance, this line right here at the bottom is going to look a little bit confusing, but we'll talk about it immediately. So let's first write it out. We're going to say return. We're going to create a new array, and we'll say ... results, ... left, and ... right, like so. This is going to create a new empty array. It's going to take all the values inside of results and add those to that array. And then after that, it'll take everything inside of left and add them to that array. And then everything inside of right and add all that to the array as well. This is the same exact thing as calling concat, or the concatenate function multiple times to essentially just join everything that's remaining inside of left or right and add it into the results array. Now you might be kind of curious why we said ... left and then ... right. It looks like I'm kind of making an assumption here about which array is going to end up coming first. So you might be wondering, well, why do we put left and then right? Why didn't we do right and then left? Well, the answer is that it doesn't matter. Remember, by the time that the while loop stops running, either the left array or the right array is going to be completely empty. So we can imagine the two cases. Let's imagine them right now. Let's say there's one case in which left has nothing left inside of it, and then a case where right has still a couple things in here, like maybe that. So in this case, left has nothing left inside of it. It's completely empty. So we can freely assume that all the values left inside of the right-hand array must all be greater than everything that was already added to the results set. We can very easily look at the opposite case as well. So if there was still something left inside the left array and the right-hand one was empty, it doesn't matter what order we add these into the results set because one of the two arrays is going to be completely empty. All right, so that's our merge function implementation. Let's take a look at our tests. We should see at least one test out of our two for MergeSort now passing. So here's MergeSort, and it looks like our merge function is properly joining together two sorted arrays. But we've still done nothing at all with the MergeSort function. So that's pretty much it for merge right here. Now at this point, my hope is that you understand this function by itself. I know that we don't really have any context on how it's getting called or what it's supposed to do, but hopefully you understand that the merge function can take two sorted arrays and join them together into some correct order. So with that in mind, let's take a break now. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about exactly how the merge function is called from the MergeSort function. So quick break, and I'll see you in just a minute.